Tropical Storm Debby it's intensifying and expected to become a hurricane soon, and of course it's affecting the state of Florida right now with some winds, some rain and storm surge right now, since all the convection and the outflow of Debby is literally over the state of Florida. The whole eastern side of the storm is over Florida, or almost all the eastern side of the storm. So this Debby has been battling with some dry air and wind shear, so that's why the aspect of the storm quite unusual or quite strange right now, but still intensifying tropical cyclone and expected to become a hurricane soon before it makes landfall in Florida, possibly by tomorrow, the next 24 to 30 hours. Position right now 27 degrees north, 84.3 degrees west so far, and as of the advisory released at 11 hours local time in Florida, 15 hours UTC on August the 4th, Tropical Storm Debby has sustained winds of 65 miles per hour with a pressure of 992 millibars, moving to the north-northwest at 13 miles per hour and expected to possibly intensify into a Category 1 hurricane mid-range or high-end Category 1 hurricane before it makes landfall in Florida by the next 24 to 30 hours, depending on how fast the storm moves and of course how the atmospheric conditions get on Debby's current location, to see if actually the storm manages to become more significant than it already is. So the possibly track forecast or the possibly future of this tropical storm is that it's that presented by the National Hurricane Center and expected to become a Category 1 hurricane by early Monday, and expected to re-emerge the Atlantic Ocean by Wednesday, still having tropical storm status. So of course it's not expected to lose that strength, surprisingly, and of course making landfall again, and now in the Carolinas, in the South Carolina by Thursday, early Thursday, and dissipating finally over the Carolinas possibly. So the next days are going to be big time for Florida, Georgia, Carolinas. I think Alabama will just miss the storm, and judging by the aspect of the storm, I believe that Alabama will not receive any kind of tropical effects by this storm, hopefully. But still, big cities are going to be affected by Florida right now. 142 miles to the east of Cape Coral, 148 miles to the southeast of Tampa, 170 miles to the southeast of Spring Hill, and 268 miles to the south of Tallahassee in Florida. Code orange, it's underway right now in our like risk scale internal here in Force 13. And the wind shear levels are quite low over Debby's location right now, but the wind shear is expected to increase or are quite more stronger on the northern side of the storm, where Debby is expected to move on the next hours. So this is going to be a significant scenario for us and for Debby as well, to see how much the storm, how much intense the storm will be before it makes landfall. The National Hurricane Center is predicting Category 1 status. Some models that I will shortly show you are expecting that Debby will not get into a hurricane despite the phase of intensification that it's currently having underway. So it's a really difficult scenario to predict about how strong the storm will be, but it's much likely that the storm will eventually get into a hurricane status and then make landfall in Florida tomorrow, Monday. This is the current projection of the rainfall accumulations hourly. This is the rainfall accumulations per hour, and over 70 millimeters of rain expected to fall in just shy of the west coast of Florida, but still more than 60 or 55 millimeters of rain expected in the western side of Florida, and of course expecting to increase as Debby moves closer. So the rainfall accumulations are going to be a main threat, not even mentioning the storm surge, the winds, and of course the potential of flash flooding, which also is a very big threat when a tropical storm or a tropical cyclone is approaching land. And the sea surface temperatures more than 30 Celsius. It's boiling in the Gulf of Mexico, and Debby will really take advantage of that. So of course the sea surface temperatures are going to help Debby to maintain some strength and possibly reaching the Category 1 status before it makes landfall. So we are hoping that the wind shear and the dry air do their homework to prevent the storm to be more intense than it already is. Still tropical storm, but that doesn't mean it's not dangerous. It's a really intense system, and it's intensifying quite quickly as well. So don't really take that lightly. And the GFS model predicting that Debby will intensify into a Category 1, 981 millibars expected as peak intensity before it makes landfall in Florida, which corresponds to Category 1 or possibly Category 2 hurricane status, depending on the conditions right now. But Debby having 992 millibars of reading, so that correlates more to a Category 1 hurricane right now. So expected with that intensity, 981 millibars, possibly mid-range Category 1 hurricane, and quite quickly not dissipation, but weakening trend as it makes landfall and crosses Florida and Georgia. This is the the model's projection about the intensity of the storm, and many of those models predicting that the storm will actually not intensify into a hurricane, which at this moment looks like it's going to be unlikely. That Debby will not be just a tropical storm, but expected to become a hurricane soon. But of course, maintaining some weak intensity as it crosses Georgia and Florida and re-emerges the North Atlantic Ocean, and of course making landfall again in the Carolinas as a much weaker system, possibly just 40 miles per hour. But it depends a lot of how the wind shear, how strong the wind shear is, and how Debby resists its moment over land. This is the wind shear levels expected to increase on the next days, or next hours to be more precise, and remaining quite intense over the next 24 to 30 hours before decreasing as Debby emerges the Atlantic Ocean again. The sea surface temperatures over 31 Celsius, boiling as I said before, is quite good for the storm to intensify, but the humidity is also a key factor for a tropical storm to intensify, and the humidity is not that high, it's only 60%. So of course dry air intrusion is affecting Debby, which also is good news for us, but still Debby could manage to intensify a little bit more, and of course affecting Florida as a much stronger system so far. This is the satellite presentation currently of Debby, looking good, but the whole eastern side of Florida having some presence of Debby with rain and winds, of course, by those storms that are over the coast of Florida. That big tail extending to Cuba as well, so it's a quite big system, but more like vertically than round, that naturally occurs with a tropical cyclone. But of course that aspect of Debby is caused by the wind shear and the dry air in the western side of the storm, and also the northern side of the storm. So of course Debby will have some trouble, but not yet, and unfortunately for Florida it's going to be a hurricane by the next hours. So please stay tuned here in Force 13 because we are going to be live shortly after this update. So please you can follow all the updates and all the commentary that our team will make to make sure that you are going to be safe as Debby makes landfall in your location here in there in Florida. So please stay tuned with us, and we are going to see you shortly afterwards.
Become an Ultimate fan today.